You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
We're sipping on some tasty watermelon Jolly Ranchers this week and talking about social license and horse welfare. Also, is breeding for horse shows falling out of style? We discuss. Thanks for tuning in.
From Heels Down Mag, a podcast where horse pros chat about what's happening in the horse world over drinks. Welcome to Happy Hour.
I'm Justine Griffin.
I'm Jessica Payne.
And I'm Ellie Woznicka. Welcome to episode 121 of Heels Down Happy Hour.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Everybody surviving? What's new?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I fell in the mud.
Oh. At least it wasn't the snow. Now do you have snow?
No, the snow completely missed us. It hit my mom. She texted me they have like over a foot. But I'm mad that the snow missed us because
then it's mud.
I hate mud. I literally lost my boot.
Oh, no.
And fell in the mud on my butt. And I just texted Matt and I was like, there are muddy pants on the back porch.
Don't touch them.
Yeah, because then I didn't want to put my boot back on and get the inside of the boot muddy. So I brought the rest of the horses in wearing one shoe.
In the snow?
No.
I know. Ellie's just
No, she doesn't have snow. She's just mud and just grossness.
Yeah. And it's cold mud, so it wasn't fun.
Ugh. She just texted me a picture like, this is how my day is going. And it's just Ellie with one muddy leg and just no shoe.
Yep. That's like the second time this week. So I don't understand. Like muck boots are great when they stay on your foot. So that's it. And I think my horses are honestly pitying me at this point. They're like, that's pretty sad. And Berkeley's so mad about the mud. When I turn him out, he literally walks straight into the shed and just stands there and looks at me. I'm like, I'm really sorry. He's
sorry,
like,
bud.
This is over it.
How many more weeks you think until like spring will dry up?
I mean, if it ever dries up.
Yeah, right? Probably never.
Yeah, I'm like not looking forward. Like I'm hoping it dries because like if it stays like this, hay season is going to be. I'm going to be spending a lot of money on buying hay from someplace where it's dry. That's what's going to happen.
Right.
Oh boy. Well, it sounds like you need a drink, Ellie. So why don't you tell us about this drink that you brought?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
it's fruity of some sort.
It is fruity, but there's a funny story with this drink because. So Matt and I went to like a local bowling alley around like Halloween and they had like a costume contest. We went in Mario and Luigi. And we
cool.
And we went bowling and stuff. And they had like some drink there that was like watermelon-y. And Matt was like, I've never had like watermelon schnapps. That was pretty good. And Matt's usually more of like a gin or beer guy. He's not the fruity like me. So he's been kind of like asking bartenders like about like what they mix with watermelon schnapps and like just like he's created this drink, which is actually really freaking good. So I wanted to share it with you guys because it really tastes like a watermelon Jolly Rancher. So it's about like 1.5 ounces of Pinnacle whipped vodka.
Okay.
1.5 ounces of like the watermelon pucker schnapps, 1 ounce sweet and sour mix, and then you can do like 5 ounces of either like seltzer or Sprite. Like we use club soda, either one works. And then here's the best part, guys. You just pour it in a cup.
It's done.
And it's done. You can put it over ice, if you want it on the rocks. But like we refrigerate our sweet and sour mix, so it's pretty cold. And the seltzer, But yeah, no, it's actually really good. And I was surprised because I hate whipped vodka. Like I have some weird like PTSD with it, I think, from college. But yeah, no, it's really good and surprising because like I said, Matt's not a sweet, fruity person. But he kind of created this concoction and it's really good. And it looks like just like a pink drink. So it doesn't look like my usual mixed drinks that just end up looking brown. So yeah, you guys should try it and let us know. I'll tell Matt if he gets good reviews or not.
To be honest, I cannot remember the last time I've had any form of schnapps. So, like,
Yeah,
but
I feel like this is a headache in a bottle for me. But this is like right up Ellie's. This is Ellie's like drink. Everything that's like
100%.
my drinks, Ellie's like, I can't taste that, Jessica. So I think I'd be really interested to hear from the listeners. Do they like more Ellie style drinks or Justine's or mine? Because we all kind of have such a different style.
We do.
Yeah.
We should do a poll. I'd be
We
curious.
should.
Yeah.
We should do that.
I
Yeah.
would love to know who wants what. And it doesn't matter. We'll all still bring our own drinks because we're still on here. So I'm still going to talk about mine and Justine and Ellie. But I'd love to know what you guys are thinking.
Yeah. Like, which drinks? Yeah. Because I'd love to know, like, what were your favorites, too? Like, over
Yeah.
the years from the podcast, if you had, like, drinks that you learned about from the show and now you drink regularly at home. But also, yeah, like, if you which category do you fall in? Are you an Ellie type drink, Jess type drink, or yeah, let's find out. We'll post in the Facebook group and we'll keep that discussion going. So this episode is brought to you by Purina, but our news is brought to you by the Heels Down Spark, which is the only daily equestrian newsletter. It's free. You can subscribe by going to bit.ly/spark by HD. All right, Jess, you got some good news to kick us off?
Absolutely. But mine is timely. So you guys, I hope you listen to the episode right when it comes out and get right on this. Do not miss it. It popped up on my Facebook or whatever, but it is the Chronicle of the Horse in the Defender Land Rover, Kentucky, all presented by Mars and everybody. That whole group is put together a giveaway where you get the grand prize is 2 VIP tickets and 1 parking pass for all 4 days of the Defender Kentucky 3-day event. And that includes access to the sponsor tent, which is pretty amazing tent, by the way. And it's also got, which I think is a really cool part, is the behind the scenes VIP tour during the event with senior director of the competition, Vanessa Coleman. And Vanessa, guys, is the nicest person. Like, she is amazing. It is so great to see her every time we're at Kentucky. To have her insight and to go walk around with her. I mean, yes, the sponsor tent is going to be amazing, but I think at the same time, walking around with and getting behind the scenes with her is incredible. So we will post how you can enter the giveaway and everything, because don't worry, if you don't get the grand prize, they also have a secondary prize. That the second prize is for 4 ground admissions, like general admissions tickets, which include entry to the horse park, the International Trade Fair, entry to the parking and the grounds. It's for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So you guys, please enter all this, and it gives all specifics when you're going to enter it. And so I don't know. I'm going to enter for friends and family and everything else. So it's a pretty amazing giveaway.
Yeah, holy cow. I mean,
right?
It is 100% the VIP treatment if you win this. Like, it is the ultimate way to do the Kentucky 3-day event.
And I would love for one of our listeners to win it and then be able to like follow along and come meet me and everything else and hang out. Like, it'd be so fun.
I know. How awesome. Gosh, it's crazy that we're already talking and thinking about Kentucky. Like, it's not that far away.
Well, my kids found their passes, like barn passes from a couple of years ago. One of the girls in the office was like, oh, Hudson wanted a pass or something. So he got his pass, and Abigail's like bold in her picture. It's from 2021. It's quite funny. But they were so excited. They're like, do we get to go back to Kentucky? And I was like, yeah, it's like quite a bit away. And then I started thinking, I'm like, it's actually really not that far along.
It
like,
really isn't.
We're not that far out. So yeah, make sure, because I think there's only like a week and so left in this. So yeah, get on this for sure.
We'll definitely share the link to where to sign up for this giveaway in the show notes. So wherever you listen to podcasts, look for our show notes. They're always on heelsdownmag.com, but also on the Horse Radio Network page as well. What do you got, Ellie?
Well, so I have some interesting but also kind of just frustrating news. So I don't know if you guys saw the Caesar Para video that kind of came out the beginning of this month.
The multiple ones, they're terrible.
The whipping, yeah.
There's a couple videos that are pretty disturbing. I mean, they are disturbing. It's not even pretty disturbing. They are just straight disturbing.
Yeah. So I think like most of the equestrian community was pretty disturbed and kind of disgusted when they saw that. And it was frustrating because USEF couldn't do anything about it when it happened. So basically, USEF
they had to wait for FEI.
Right. And USEF also can't immediately suspend because they don't have that power right now, because USEF current rules only cover like abuse that happens on showgrounds or when a horse is presented for competition with evidence of recent abuse, like if they're, bleeding where the spurs are or things like that. So USEF has since, they posted actually a letter from the CEO on February 13th, as we're recording this, that he has been temporarily suspended by the FEI while they investigate, and they've spoken up about how, this is not acceptable. They're talking about animal welfare and that this is just endangers the integrity of our sport. So we'll post that letter in the notes for you guys, but I wanted to talk about the rule changes that USEF is trying to pass. So if the middle of the year conference for them is in June, and if they get passed at that mid-year board meeting, they'd go into effect the beginning of December of this year. So basically, there's two things that are being proposed. One is a proposal that strengthens the definition of abuse and expands the scope of USEF's jurisdiction over abuse that happens away from competitions. And like the social license under which like the equestrian sport operates, right? The horses need to be treated as athletic partners and receive the appropriate training required by all athletes. And their welfare is paramount at all times. And USEF is being very clear on that. So they want to change the rule so it create this rule. And this will be defined as like any action or omission that causes or is likely to cause pain or unnecessary discomfort to a horse. And then they list 21 examples of abuse, some of which have already been listed as abuse in the USEF rules. But there are some newer ones, such as like excessive lunging and excessive competing of a horse. The second rule is just going to be a change to the standard rule, which is that physical assault upon a person and or cruelty and abuse to a horse, whether such occurred at a licensed competition or at any other time. So this is getting kind of mixed reviews. They discussed it at the USHJA annual meeting, and some people are fearing that the rule is like an overreach since it's not at competitions and could be abused as a form of retaliation. But ultimately, right, we have concerns about how this bad behavior at home could influence the sport's social license and also just the integrity of our sport with horse welfare. So I thought it was really great that the Thomas O'Mara, the president of USEF, actually posted in his letter that they are now asking anyone that if you have witnessed horse-related abuse to contact USEF by texting what you saw to the number 2 USEF, which is like 28733, or by emailing general counsel at usef.org to report that abuse. I think it's great that our governing body is taking actions to help make sure welfare is at the top priority.
It feels almost unprecedented because, like this isn't the first example, right? That we've seen this and that it's come up. And I'm actually quite surprised in a pleasant way that USEF is taking this so seriously and trying to get ahead of it and create some parameters to combat it from ever happening like this again.
Yeah, and I think it's because they have been getting a lot of slack lately on, people are bringing these things up and like, why isn't anything being done?
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's really, really important, and I'm glad to see USEF doing something about it.
I hope we continue to have discussions, right? Because I think people have, it warranted concerns, right? Because from a governing standpoint of like you know what I mean? Like if you're not at a horse show, what should USEF's role have in the way you operate around horses? I think if you're a good upstanding horseman, you have nothing to worry about, right? But it's an interesting discussion, and I'll be curious to see how it continues to evolve, right? Like with all these various organizations like USHGA, USCA, like everyone kind of has a different take on what trickles down from USEF. But I think it's really interesting and very powerful that USEF is doing something about it in this way, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. What have you got, Justine?
So something a little bit more lighthearted. So Anna Merrick, we had on the show late last year. She is one of my favorite interviews that we did in 2023. I think she's just super cool and, lives here in Florida. And she is just having a really stellar year already. It's only February, and she is just like kicking butt, man, down in Wellington. So she has this horse that she talked about when she was on the podcast last year. She was at the Pan Ams with this horse, Firefly. Well, now she's been in Wellington, and she just competed in this FEI Dressage World Cup final on a different horse, 5L, which I think is a horse she talked about him on the show. She took over the reins for him last year from his owner, and they just like totally knocked it out of the park with like a huge 70 plus score in the Grand Prix, but then they got a 78.457 in the Dressage World Cup Freestyle in Wellington last week. And if you haven't seen the video, like it's been making the rounds on social media, it's really fun to watch because this is just like this giant, big, bouncy horse, and she just like laid it all out on the line in these performances. It was beautiful and very inspiring. And I just love how cool and down to earth Anna is. She's like a very easy person for me personally to root for. So I'm just so happy to see her having more success. And I can't wait to see what she does next. So we'll share some of the highlights of her performances if you want to watch them in our show notes. But yeah, she's awesome, and I feel like we gotta have her back on the show soon.
Oh, absolutely.
So again, this episode is brought to you by Purina, and your horse has specific and unique feed needs, and Purina has you covered. From breeding and growing to senior horses, from performance horses to easy keepers and everything in between, Purina has an extensive portfolio of research-backed options for your horse. There's no shortcut for quality nutrition. Cheaper isn't cheaper if it doesn't work. Put Purina's research to the test. Find optimal nutrition at any level at your local Purina retailer or visit purinamills.com to learn more. All right, guys, I can't believe we're already at the week of Valentine's Day. I feel like this year is just going by in a flash, but I thought it would be fun to talk about traditions. Like, do you guys do anything special with your significant others, like with Matt and with Doug? Ellie, do you do anything with Matt?
We muck stalls together. No.
In your Luigi and Mario costumes.
I
was going to say, Matt's like super thrilled that he's like, oh, this is our thing. This is our Valentine's Day mucking stalls.
I'll have to post a picture of that bowling night in the Facebook group because it is funny. Because I wear a little mustache as Luigi or as Mario.
That is amazing.
And Matt obviously didn't have to because he has a mustache for Luigi. But anyway, So we don't do anything like structured, I guess, for Valentine's Day. Although there is a funny story that Matt kind of got in trouble one time, and I don't remember. I think we'd have been dating for maybe like a year or two. And I don't remember why, but I was really sad that he didn't get me a card for Valentine's Day.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I don't like, why didn't you get me a card and like profess your love to me? I don't know. I was freaking 19, leave me alone. But in my defense, but like Matt usually like makes dinner, which I mean he does all the time because I can't cook at all. But that night specifically, he'd actually made this shrimp gorgonzola Alfredo, which was so good. So now pretty much every Valentine's Day, and unfortunately it happens during tax season, right? So he's always crazy busy because he's an accountant. But every Valentine's Day I'm like, oh, like we'll celebrate like at the weekend or whatever, and I want you to make that like shrimp gorgonzola. So I guess that like me basically begging Matt to make whatever food I'm craving is basically Valentine's Day. But he always gets me a card.
I'm sure he's terrified not to buy you a card.
He
now.
learned that lesson. That's hilarious.
Because I was
That's
so
hysterical.
sad. I don't like remember, and to be honest, I forget cards all the time. But like, he gets me a card now for every holiday.
I don't know why. He's so scared not to.
I hope you save every damn card, Ellie.
I do. I'm
Oh,
a really
my
like
goodness.
I'm a cheesy sentimental person.
That's
honestly.
so cute.
So like I love them, and I put them a little box full of them, and I'm like, oh look, that's so
Aw.
cute. What you wrote 10 years ago. Isn't that funny?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. But yeah, so basically we do cards, and then we celebrate when he has time off of work. And like, I mean, I think last year we got sushi or something like that. But usually it's just like one meal. And sometimes he'll get me chocolate or something if I'm complaining about chocolate.
Hey,
So
a nice
funny.
meal goes a long way. That sounds
Right?
great.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what we usually, like in the past, we cook. Like I love to cook. So I'll do like a big steak dinner or something like that with a nice bottle of wine. Well, Doug's teaching a clinic this year. And so there is no steak dinner for him tomorrow night. He will be, so it's Tuesday for us. And so he will not be having steak dinner, and he will be flying home as it's Valentine's Day. So I found a place here in Durham, and it's doing a Valentine's Day dinner on Friday night. And so we're going to go without the kids and do like a Valentine's Day dinner on Friday because we missed it. So we're not always about the day because we're always somewhere else. So we usually just try to make the most of like at some point saying, okay, we'll do it this. And it's usually at home, but this time we're going to actually go out. So it'll be nice. And then the kids are so excited for Valentine's Day this year. Like they have talked about it. It's so funny. They've done cards for their whole class,
Oh,
this whole big thing. And so they have probably asked me every day, how many more days until Valentine's Day? So I feel I'll have to do a stay tuned on what actually happens at Valentine's Day because my kids are super, super excited about Valentine's Day.
What
That's
about
so
you
cute.
and Alex, Justine?
okay. Well, so just a quick comment. If I saved every card, I do. I mean, I do. But Alex, his comment would be, "I'm a hoarder. That I save every card."
That's
Oh,
me.
I am a hoarder.
No, Doug would
100%
never-
am a hoarder.
Doug would be like, oh, what is this trash over here? Like, why did you save it? He's like, if you want to save it, take a picture of it.
My dad, he has one card for every holiday, and he gives it to my mom, and then she opens it, and he takes it back and saves it for the next year. So he recycles the cards for every holiday for like
No, that's hysterical.
their anniversary card. I think is like 12 years old. I swear.
That's fantastic.
No, that's great, though.
I know, right? Pretty smart. Pro tip, guys, if you listen to the show. but poor Alex, he's got a hard one because my birthday is February 12th. So,
Yeah.
So generally we just roll Valentine's Day into whatever we're doing for my birthday. So, but I don't cook like unless I physically have to because Alex is out of town. Alex is a great cook. So generally, like, we'll go out to eat, or do like a nice, cute date night. But most of the time, it's pretty low key for us. I'm really into like seasonal holiday candy. Like, I love candy corn. I'm a weirdo. I love candy corn, and I love the Valentine's Day hearts candies. I'm
Okay,
obsessed
fair.
with those.
Fair.
So, I eat a lot of those this time of year, because they're delicious. I don't know why, but I love them. So that is my sweet treat. But yeah, beyond that, like, yeah, we'll have a nice date night out, downtown kind of deal, and then move right along. My poor dad, my mom's birthday is the 16th and mine is the 12th.
Oh my
so
goodness.
Oh.
it's just a killer week for him.
Right?
But he's done it this long.
So what
So
about like horse Valentines? Do you guys do anything special for the ponies? All mine get carrots and apples because I like to spoil them.
oh, that's sweet.
I am sure that will be part of the stay tuned, because Abigail is obsessed with giving like any type of treats to the horses. And her favorite is actually the Mrs. Pastor's cookies.
Those
So
are
she
good.
goes and gets like, oh yeah, she has like a big jug of them. And she goes and gets it, and she like walks up. She probably gave Stella, one of the horses, at least 5 of them today already.
Aw.
And so I feel like tomorrow's after school is going to be giving every horse Mrs. Pastor's cookies.
I love that. That's so cute. Yeah, I mean, I'm that type of person too. Like, if I know I'm gonna go on a long trip and it's gonna be days or a couple weeks before I see my horse, I'll always put treats in like his, dinner PM bucket of like the night before I leave. So,
Yeah.
I do love zero proof horse treats for this reason. They have obviously a ton of great flavors. Probably for Valentine's Day, I'd pick the apple martini, I think,
Oh yeah, that'd be a fun one.
yeah, fits in with like, if you're gonna get a box of chocolates and have an apple martini, right?
Yeah.
So those ones are cute, and luckily Mikey loves every flavor from Zero Proof. And what I like about them, obviously we've talked about Zero Proof on the podcast before, but they're made from all natural ingredients like oats and alfalfa, and they have natural flavors like obviously apple for apple martini, but orange if you like the old fashioned. And then there's mint if you want the mint julep. And I heard that they're coming up with some new flavors soon, so we'll have to stay tuned on what those are going to be. But it's, again, no artificial ingredients. I love the little nugget style of them because they don't crumble. Like if you put them in your pocket, they're not going to fall apart. But they're just a nice small treat that you can walk around the horse show with them in your pocket. And they're just a nice treat. And again, if you want to try them, especially now for Valentine's Day, we have a coupon code for you. So if you go to zeroproofhorsetreats.com, you can use the promo code HEELSDOWN. That's all one word in caps. So HEELSDOWN. And you will get free shipping plus a free gift when you order online. All right, so I wanted to ask both of you. There was this Facebook post that went totally viral recently. Emily Holmes, who I know from the Florida Horse Park, she puts on all the events there from schooling to FEI level events, posted about 2024 along the lines of like, could it be the year of no braiding? Because if you look in the rule book, braiding is actually optional at events, which was like mind-boggling to me, and just another reminder to like read the damn rule book right before you go to a horse show. So obviously she's talking from an eventing standpoint, but if you look in the rule book, it's also optional for like USDF dressage. So I think she brings up a really interesting discussion. There was lots of heated comments on this Facebook thread, but like, why do we braid at this level? I guess if you don't have to, like, I could see obviously from an FEI perspective, that is a different ball game. And even for me, like my FEI, let's be real, is like the USCA recognized events. So like, it's great that you can braid if you want to, but just like as someone who's competed internationally, I mean, what are your thoughts? Did you see this thread?
I did. Oh, yes, I saw it, and it
Okay.
sparked a lot of different threads, which was pretty incredible. And one that I do want to circle back to, because I have another question as a follow up about where this is all turning to. So
Mhm.
my big thing was, I mean, it's kind of nice that maybe like, and I think for like 1 days and stuff, we haven't braided, like if it's a lower level thing. But at the end of the day, like a lot of our owners or people, like they like the horses braided. And so you'll see for big FEI show jump classes, our horses are braided. Now, I'm not going to lie, if it isn't a pinch and we're running late and like, or we're just not in the mood that day, like we will not braid. Like we will just say, screw it. It is not a big deal, but I think that's kind of where the attitude should be. If you are good at braiding or you like your braids, or I mean, like it doesn't take me long to braid. I can throw in a set of braids and like, it's real probably embarrassing how fast I can braid, but I can braid and throw in 10 braids in the horse and it just is plotted up and looks nice. So if it doesn't take me that much time and it looks nice and it's done, now I'm not putting in 50 braids like the hunters, which unfortunately I can do that as well. Some days I don't like that I braid, but in a pinch, it's nice. Like I know I can do it so that if, it's at the Carolina International and it's, got a lot of pictures and Doug's going to want to use some pictures. Like he's going to want to look his best. If he's in a coat, he's going to want the horse looking nice. And so that's kind of, okay, if we're, like I said, if we're in a rush and it's going to look not as great, he's going to say, forget it. I'll wear a coat and just move on with the day. But I think it should stand kind of, in my opinion, is if it's convenient for you or you have the time or you like the way it looks. And it's just like people that get up and do their hair in the morning. There's lots of times I like have my hair in a half brushed bun and I drive the kids to school because I'm in a rush and I didn't have time. But there are other days that like I'm going to the airport. I don't want to look at the airport like this. Like I'm embarrassed of what I look like. So I will actually like fully brush my hair and like maybe do more than just like wash my face. So I think it's kind of that mentality. If you feel that it's going to make you feel better, you should braid. Or if you have time or the ability, then braid. But if it's not that important or you don't like the way it looks or you don't like the way yours look, don't feel pressured to braid.
I think that's a great message. I think, the first question I had after reading the thread is like, sure, I would love to like not worry about braiding some days. And in the examples that you said, like you should, like there's traffic, you get to the show late, you're running, you're trying to get to the ring. It's just one last thing to worry about. But am I going to be penalized by the judge if I don't
No.
braid?
So then the other thing, which I was going to actually call Marilyn, Doug's mother, who is judged everywhere, I was going to call and see if she cared. And so on this, it got me on like, it's when you were on Facebook or wherever and you just like start searching everything. I went on like that, whatever, long road of like looking for it. So then I saw another one and you read all the comments, like, sometimes I know I need to get off Facebook. So I'm reading all the comments and I laughed because John Halling had posted kind of a segment to it, like a spinoff type thing about how he didn't braid, but Sarah did. And it was like a ha funny kind of thing. And Marilyn said in the comments, don't worry, John, the judges don't even notice. And that's what was so refreshing. She's judged everything. And if she doesn't care, she's like looking at the whole picture. She doesn't care you're braided. And that's what's so nice.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Because again, like if I'm spending all the money to go to a rated show, I generally I want to be braided. I want to look nice, and especially when it's just like eventing or dressage knots. Those are easy in comparison to the hunter knots. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because some people, like if you go through some of these Facebook threads, like people have opinions on like literally every minuscule piece of this, like, horse welfare, blah, 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 blah. Okay.
Horse welfare.
We do
They're in for 30
hair,
minutes.
I know, like we're not killing the horses here, but again, if you don't want to braid your horse because that's a concern to you, don't do it.
I would love, I mean, like, so braiding my hair is like punishment to me. Like, no, that's just ridiculous. But At the
It's
end of the
totally
day,
personal preference. Yeah,
I think
exactly.
it should be personal preference. If I want to look nice to go to the airport and or go to a horse show or go wherever, I should look nice because I'm going to take the time to do it. Now, if I don't care what I look like, that's my prerogative as well.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Like my viewpoint is I'm more worried about my horse being sound and happy to do the job
Yes,
of being at a
exactly.
competition
I've spent all this
than I
time
am
to
about
get to the
braiding.
horse show and the money.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I'm having a good go, not what my braids look like, to be honest. But
Yeah.
You know,
so the
I'm
other,
I'm
Oh,
also
go
the
ahead.
type of person who's shown up to the airport having slept totally hungover, just trying to get to my end destination, and then also been to the airport like completely ready, dressed, looking nice, ready to land, and
Oh.
like go out. So I could be both people, is what
I
I'm
can be
saying.
both people. I mean, I have literally gone to the airport and there's pictures of faces of Jessica at the airport. Like it is a lot. But I would like to try that some days when I have time that I can look presentable to the public. And there are other
100%.
times that I look like
Don't
I probably
recognize
should
me. Don't look at
I
me.
should not be let on the plane. I look so terrible. But you know what? I'm thankfully they didn't judge me that day. And that's it. And that's what it should be basically like. But speaking of this, I have a little question because on these like threads on Facebook that I saw, I have a question. So then I saw, and you're in Florida, are you guys going to have to start wearing cross country pennies in the dressage?
Speaking of Emily, who started this whole discussion, yes. So it depends on the venue, but the Florida Horse Park started this first.
Why?
Where
Can they not read the numbers on the bridle numbers?
I don't have a good answer for that, but
I'm just curious. Just curious if they couldn't read.
I guess it helps for like every eventing is a volunteer based sport. It's wonderful. It helps
I'm
keep
happy to
costs
yell
down.
out my number all day long, but
I
talk
know.
about the person that wants to braid and look the part.
And then you have to wear the damn penny.
I know this is a European thing. I know it's all in England. It drives me personally nuts because I don't like the way it looks. And
No,
on
it
the
takes away
days-
from your whole outfit, all your turnout.
on the
you
days
just
that
see the
I look
ugly
like
turn.
I'm scaring people in the airport, I'm happy to put on my penny. Like totally fine. But on the days that I have spent 20 extra minutes and gotten up on time and look like a presentable human being, I would like not to wear my penny that day. And I would just
I
like to
know.
yell out my number.
You want to look sharp in your show coat and breeches and stuff, but then you got to put the penny on. I
I
understand.
mean, I should just look like Cousin It and call it a day.
Oh my gosh, I know. I there was a lot of backlash on the penny posts too.
I'm more offended by the pennies than I am this braiding thing.
I mean, okay, so I think I have a little bit of a different view from you guys because I'm one of those people, like, I will wear pajamas everywhere. I don't, like, I haven't worn makeup.
You wear those leggings that are so short that I don't think I could wear those in public.
I do, yeah. I wear my equi-panties everywhere.
You do?
Yeah, that's
And
not
I'm
even
like,
leggings. It's bike
No,
shorts.
I didn't know what
I
you call
mean-
them, but I know what she knows what I'm
It's
talking about.
underwear.
Yeah,
I literally can't wear those out of my house. Like I'm
Right.
embarrassed to wear those out of my house. Like I'm like,
I mean-
people see my like I mean, they are underwear.
They are underwear.
yeah, yeah, it feels very freeing. But
I
in any-
can't do that.
but in any case, like I don't care, like, at all.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I haven't worn makeup in years, but there's one thing that I've always been like adamant about is like, and this is like honestly because that's my whole purpose of showing is I want a nice frickin' picture of me
yeah,
and my
Sure.
horse.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but to be honest, I've had Berkeley for 12 years. He's been braided twice in his life, and it's only been for 2 fancier hunter derbies for the sole purpose so that
For a
I could
picture.
get a nice picture. The rest of the time his mane has been, cut nice, and we've just been in the jumper. So, and I like to grab mane and I have no shame in it. So I want my mane loose so I can grab it when I need it. But like, yeah, I mean, I think it's all, I agree with the penny thing. Like that would bother me if I had to do it. Like, I feel like it should be optional, right?
Yeah.
Because if you want to do it, like, some people have that opinion of like, look good, do good, feel good,
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. Like, if that's going to
For
like
sure.
get you going, and that's like, your pump up mantra that you do in the mornings before horse shows, go for it. But like, I don't think that it should be like something that people, because like you said, I mean, I really don't think if you are doing so exceptionally well on your round that the judge says, oh man, she's not braided her horse.
Yeah.
Like, okay, congratulations.
No, and it's nice they don't care, but that's where I think it should be a choice to not wear the penny, to not braid, to do all that. Like, to wear the penny feels like it's more of a situation. Like, it's just, it's a lot.
There were a lot of big name eventers who complained about that, but if you don't want to do it, you don't have to show at the horse park.
Yeah, exactly.
It is what it is.
I just hope it's not a trend, I guess, is my big thing.
Yeah, I hear you. But again,
it would look better just to wear a back number.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be more, streamlined. You wouldn't be flopping around in that.
Yeah, maybe.
I know.
But it's so European. I mean, everybody in England does it, and they seem to not care, I guess.
Yes. I don't know. But I'm with you, Ellie. I'm going to buy the picture.
Yeah.
I'd love to buy the picture of the horse braided. It's but there have definitely been days where I've been stuck in traffic. I'm showing up for a one-day event, and it comes down to, do I have time to braid or walk my cross-country course? And I wish I was brave at the time to say I didn't panic and tried to do both, and then did a crap job of both.
Yeah.
So I would rather just go, screw it. He'll be fine. Like, I keep my horse's mane pulled like a hunter. It's tidy. Yeah. It's nice. I should let it go.
And that's the thing is, as long as it's tidy and nice and looks good, I don't think it matters either way. And then you have options.
Yeah. I mean, Berkeley's mane's like 8 inches long right now, so I wouldn't go out like that.
You're not hitting it up right now? Probably not.
He's in his full winter mode with his full leg mullets and everything. But, but yeah, I mean, I really don't think there's a big issue with it at all. It's a do what you want to do. Just like people who wear the purple coats in the hunters. If that's what you want to do, go for it.
Who
cares?
Exactly.
Who cares? Exactly. It's about the fun.
Live Eck. It's a free app for equestrians. They break down barriers, making the sport more accessible to everyone. The app connects riders with local opportunities, riding lessons, horse leases, equestrian jobs, you name it, the app probably has it. Go to www.liveeq.com for more information. So guys, I have a question. So I'm just kind of getting back into it, but I want to know, it's been hard in the last couple of years taking a step back. Obviously I had the kids and took a step back and stuff. And I feel like I'm finally getting over it, but I feel like that's kind of a thing right now that, everybody's having kids, or, I broke my leg, and there's always life happens situations. How do you guys kind of deal with the FOMO from having to take a step back? It could be voluntary, like the babies, or when I broke my leg, I was set down no matter what. So I feel like I'm finally on it, but you never know when the next situation happens, which hopefully is a while. But how do you guys handle the FOMO?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. Ellie, I feel like you had back-to-back rehabs.
I was going to say, poor Ellie's been right in with me.
Yeah.
Well, so I think it's a little different right. So it's been difficult for me because it's not something where it's going to change for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't see it's not like a snap in one moment. Right. It's going to change something.
There's
different.
Nothing I can rehab to do to make me the rider I was before my paralysis. So that's very frustrating for me. Because it's not even I have more of a FOMO of things I didn't do years ago, when I could. But the real life situation is, crap happens, and, you just have to figure out how you're going to continue to love the sport that you love. So, no, I'm not going to be able to ride competitively or as competitively as I was. I'm looking into like, can I do things with Berkeley like Western dressage so that I have a horn and a more secure saddle, so that way I can feel more confident and have that stability, since I don't have the ability that I used to have. And like, am I kind of like foolish because I'm like, I'm going to try it anyway? Probably.
I love that for you, though. I think
I was going to say, I feel like that's
idea.
you, though. And that's, it wouldn't be you without doing that.
Yeah. And I think like, that's the thing. I mean, to be honest, I think my overall opinion of it, because, I dealt with the whole, I'm sad and it's never going to be great. And it's like, I have this barn and this was my dream for so long and now I can't even enjoy it, blah, blah, blah. And like, so I went through the depression of that, the dealing with that. And ultimately, my horses are happy. They're, I would say, sound-ish. I would say majority of them.
I feel like for yours, they're sound. So it's like pretty good.
And I think the thing is, like, I love being with my horses, and I don't care if that means that I don't get to go back in a really nice show ring and compete for the actual ribbon. I don't care if that means that I show in something that my horse can literally walk over the fences. They're so low. Like, I don't care. Like, at this point, because to be honest, my horse doesn't care. My horse doesn't care.
Yeah. No, he's happy he's not driving to Cornell all the time. Like, that's
exactly.
That's it. They're thrilled they're getting to eat. And that's such a good way to look at it, because, they're happy. Like, they're not hurt that you've provided them to become so sound and everything else. Like, they've overcome so much themselves. So yeah, even looking at those, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. So I think I've just changed my mindset a little bit on the fact that, it matters more how you treat your horse and how your horse is than what you are able to accomplish with them. It's like, and I dealt with kind of the opposite side of that too. I'm like, well, do I lease them out? Because like, I feel like I'm holding Berkeley back from like his potential and all this stuff. And I'm like, but he doesn't care.
No,
he doesn't care. No,
he could give two craps about going, like, if there's not food involved, he doesn't care about the color of the ribbon, he doesn't care about, like, he likes to go to big horse show venues, but I can still do that and just go walk him around, go hack him around, like, so I think dealing with FOMO, especially when it's something you can't control, right? If your finances have changed and you can't, do things you used to do, or if you're like me and your body has changed and you can't do things that you used to love to do with your horses, I think the overall picture is just to stay in that mindset of your horses, keep them happy and healthy, and just enjoy what you can do. And I think that's like where I've had to look at things from in order to kind of cope with it.
I'm gonna have to call Ellie next time I'm down and be like, I need you to help me, because
it's very healthy and very mature of you to come to that decision. It's not always been that
easy, Ellie. Like, I'm not saying.
Oh, it took me over a year to get to that point.
That at all.
Yeah.
And I'm just, just the way you put it and everything else. It's like, it is really quite amazing. Like, it's things that I never even, thought about that can then bring me some more peace type things. Like, everything, like you said, sometimes are in your control, sometimes they're not. And you start to feel guilty, and to break it down to be so simple as the horse is happy and they don't care, like, oh, the horse is getting older and I haven't shown it as much as I should, like you start to get that different kind of guilt.
Exactly.
And I love that, because it's something I had never thought about. And to be able to say, look, like, they don't care. I'm giving him treats. He's happy. He's sound. Like, that's all he wants. He doesn't care if he gets on the trailer or not.
He gets to run and buck and fart. And that is all they care about.
Preferably not with me on him.
Yes, exactly.
Like, let's specify that. It's like, preferably not with me, like in a field. But yes. But yeah, no, I love how you break it down like that, because it's things that when you start to feel guilty about the smallest things or the biggest things or anything in between, you can make it as simple, which I said is not simple for you to figure out. But I'm glad, you can share that, because I think those simple words are quite helpful.
Well, what about for you, Jess? Because, you ran around Kentucky, you were competing at the 5-star level, and then life changed for you and in something that you got to choose, right? Like you were ready to start a family.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that was,
but that's
that
still
was
something
a
you had to
whole
reckon with, right?
conversation. Oh, yes. And like, that was a conversation we had that, like, one of the last Kentuckies I did afterwards, a lot of different things happened. And I started kind of reevaluating, like, what do you really want? Like, are you going to go run Kentucky again? Like, yes, I can do
Sure.
that. But, now looking back at it, I should have just talked to Ellie, because my horse is happy. He didn't really want to go. And I wanted to retire him sound, and I want to retire him happy. And that's exactly what I did. And I mean, he's 27 years old, still farting and kicking, hopefully in a field, not with his rider. But so I kind of did a mind shift and say, okay, look, I didn't want to, same thing. I didn't want to lease him out to like a big rider type thing. I found an amazing situation for him with a client of ours that he could go do lower level and kind of teach her. And so I was like, okay, I think I want a family. And then I always had some young horses and then sold them. But, my goal was to, okay, when the kids, you think when the kids are going to get older, I can start really competing again. Well, now the kids are older and in school, and it's quite just as hard, to be honest. So it's not very as easy as I kind of thought it would be. But, we make it work and everything. And so it's different. So I kind of had to, same thing, refocus my mindset into saying, what is important? The kids are important and my horses are important, absolutely. But I still want to, we're big into family life and family time and everything else. So, if I miss a horse show because it didn't work out, at the end of the day, I'm like, there's another one. And it's fine if he's, getting a little older and not hitting every milestone my other horses hit when they were younger. It's fine to just say, look, he can be a little older and we'll get there when we get there. And that's been, it's taken me several years to kind of say that, because, I wanted to do the 5-year-olds, the 6-year-olds, the 7-year-olds. And now, we're 6 and I'm like, well, we're happy to be jumping what the 4-year-olds are jumping, because we're just happy to be jumping, basically.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
it's that change of mindset that, it takes time and it's not easy to kind of come to that, but doing that reality check of you can't do everything sometimes just has to happen. And that's been probably the hardest, is that you can't do everything.
Right. But I think that's important to talk about too, right? Because it's, especially as women, I feel like that is a pressure we all feel, no matter what your riding goals are.
Well, we're expected to do everything, like expected to
Right.
X, Y, Z. And then, oh, wait, you forgot to do A, B, C, D. And it's like, it's just at some point, I've learned to not be afraid to ask for help and not be afraid to say, look, I'm in a jam, or when the horse is like being naughty, like not just pushing through it, like, just kind of adapting to what my body can do now and what, my mindset can do now, and not what my 19-year-old body would have, probably gotten bucked off. It's like, okay, now let's try to be a little safer and let's do it a different way, and kind of figuring out what that means. And that's the hardest, is like trial and error. What does that mean?
Right. Right. No, I mean, I've grappled with the same as you, Ellie. Like I went from competing twice a month and having all these goals with Mikey to an injury just like literally pumped the brakes and put us.
It's like an immediate
all
stop.
That. And it just was so emotionally jarring. It was really difficult, and I've written about it a little bit for Heels Down, and we've talked about it obviously on the podcast, but it was it was terrible. It was one of the hardest things I've had to go through and had to reckon with, and it's hard to find people to talk to about it because, you ask normie people who don't know anything about the sport, they're like, it's a horse.
Yeah, you're like, why does it matter? And that's
first world problems, you know, and I get that too, and I think that's a good reminder sometimes. But also, like, when you put all your eggs in this one basket, like it's very much who I am, and you work so hard at it. It's not like I take piano lessons after work. You know what I mean? Like, this is a really all encompassing hard work, lots of labor, lots of blood, sweat, and tears for it all of a sudden to just be like over. It was a really hard year, and I was lucky and very fortunate to be in a position where I could have the second horse for a short period of time to have the distraction of the thoroughbred makeover. But the second I sold Wyatt, like, I felt that sense of dread all over again. Like, well, what do I do now? And I'm grateful at the end of the day to have Mikey at all, and I try to remind myself of that when I'm feeling frustrated or sad when my friends are off horse showing and I'm still bringing my horse back into work. That, like, hey, at the end of the day, this horse that I love so much, like, so much. I love him more than almost most things in my life, that he's still here, and that is a really important part of this for me. And I've gotten to know him in this very new way through the crappiest moments of our lives together. And I am grateful for that, even though it's been so crappy. But yeah, our goals are now, I don't even know if I have goals, but sort of like you, Ellie, I've thought about, like, I'm really hoping he could be a dressage horse, and that's something I enjoyed doing, and we were with the dressage trainer before this happened. But also I thought about working equitation. I reached out to a trainer in Ocala who does working equitation. Like, is that something we could do? Try new things. I'm okay with that now, where I think, a version of myself 3 years ago would be like, what the heck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no, it's the AECs or nothing, but that dream is, like, so gone. And I think it's okay. And I think it's a good life lesson. It's bigger than horses to realize that there are things that happen beyond our control, and it's part of life to adapt. And the way you handle those things with grace or without grace, kind of sets you up for the next challenge in your life. So, but man, it's hard. At the end of the day, it's hard. And it's hard when it's a choice. It's hard when it's every situation. It's hard, to be honest. And it could feel very lonely. So if you're listening and you've gone through that, just know you're not alone. There are a lot of us who have dealt with it. And with horses, there's just so much heartbreak that I think we like to say it, but until you feel it, like, there is so much heartbreak, and it's the risk and burden we take by deciding to be part of this world,
Yeah. And I think what you said is just so important, because I dealt with it a lot with Batman, where people are just like, oh, well, like, why can't you just, like, get a new horse?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, that's not the point.
So what happens to this one?
I'm like, it's not a car. Like, I'm like, no, like, this is, like, I want this horse. Like, I want to like, be with this horse. And people don't understand that it's like, this is my partner. Like, this is not, like, just, oh, I crashed my bike and now I'm going to get a new one. Like, no, like, that's not
that's not how it works. All.
And and I think that's a hard, I feel like that's really isolating too, is, like, especially with, rehabbing horses. It's like, it's not like you can just, do something else, and that's, like, somebody said that to me when I was in rehab myself. It's like, oh, like, why don't you find, like, a different hobby? And I'm like, it's not a hobby.
That's like, not how it works.
It's not it's not find something else. It's like, now you just find how
a new.
Exactly. Because it's like, and I think what you said is so important. Like, it is the horses that we love so much, and their happiness is what makes us happy, and being with them is what makes us happy. So yes, like, you have all these goals, and you, like, have all these things you really, like, oh, this would be so fun to do with this horse. And it's like, I don't care about doing that with another horse. It's like this was the goal I had for us as a team, and I think that that's something that's very hard to explain to people who aren't horsemen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, it is hard, and that's why I'm grateful for both of you, because y'all listen.
Well, exactly.
On the hard days,
Well, and that's the thing, is you have to be grateful for the friends that you can talk to about as well, because that's, like we talked about, it's hard with other ones. That be grateful for those people as well, because don't take them for granted, because they're just as special and hard to find.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Speaking of that, I have to know you guys as Rose and Thorn.
Oh my goodness. All right, who wants to go first?
No, I don't. Not me. I asked you to.
Not me. Oh, I'm thinking. Oh,
my
why?
rose is not this, but it should be that I don't have the plague anymore. But that's not really my rose. So all I can think is I didn't get sick in Florida.
There
you
go.
didn't get the plague again.
Yeah, again. I still cannot believe I got the plague.
I can go, I guess.
Okay, all right.
So I took Berkeley up last week for Cornell for his recheck.
Yeah.
And I am really happy because he's like, it's like only like so sporadically that they're basically said now is the time to just strengthen him up. So he's basically I don't want to say through the rehab tunnel.
That's great though.
But he's continuing to push through the tunnel. He's going to require corrective shoeing for like the rest of his life, but who cares? He's, he'll be 16 this year, and he's also a draft cross, like that to be expected, that he would need a little extra support, with the shoe department because he's a big guy. But so I'm excited about that. But to be honest, more of my rose was that when they have like a round pen, right? And because I wanted to see him on a turn, because they trotted him on the straight and they couldn't see anything at all. And they're like, well, let's check him on a circle. And Berkeley, with the mud and stuff, like he hasn't been able to like do any kind of real movement outside because he hates the mud. So when they put him in this round pen and put him on a lunge line, he was like, I want a canter. And like, he wasn't like rude. He wasn't like buck and run, but all the vets and it's a university hospital. So all the students that were there, they were like, oh my gosh, he has such a beautiful, nice uphill canter. And they were just like complimenting his canter. And they were like, he's probably so comfortable. I'm like, yes, he's a couch. And he was just like, and they would just like get him back down to a trot, and then they would click back at him and he would do another beautiful transition. He was just like totally showing off for these people.
Oh my goodness. That is hysterical.
Yes. And that just gave me a lot of like joy. I was like, don't let his leg mullets and like full draftness right now fool you. He's actually really broke. And like he doesn't pull a cart, even though he looks like it right now. But so that was my rose, is that it was just a positive experience, and I'm happy about that. My thorn is that I'm just really, really sick of this mud, guys. I can't deal with it.
I'm just thinking of the text picture
I
again.
can't. Yeah, all I can think of is the one shoe. The one shoe, just doing the barn in one shoe.
So many times. It happened Saturday morning, and I come out of the pasture holding my shoe.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Matt goes, I'll put the other horses out. Like, he didn't say anything about the shoe. He was
because he's like, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just frustrating because like the mare I have, she like nicked herself on frozen ground. So I've had to keep her inside for this cut because I can't put her out because it's mud. And I don't want it to get infected. And it's just like, I'm just over it. I'm like, okay, enough is enough. Like, and then it's, it's frozen in the morning. So the horses can't go out in the morning till it softens up a little bit. I'm done with it. I've never hated having my horses at home, But this season, I've really hated
Well,
having
because
my horses
well,
at home.
and it's awful for you because you're used to the snow. Like it gets better and it snows, and you haven't really gotten that this year.
No, not at all. And yeah, I'm just like Batman sprung a shoe 2 days ago, so I had to have the farrier come back out to do that. And I'm
Oh
just
my
like,
goodness.
I'm like, I don't blame him because it's just a mess. So I've
yeah.
never hated weather so much. So that would be my thorn is just like I'm ready for it to like either freeze or dry. One or the other, I'm done. Like, but what about you guys?
I can go. So
Okay.
my rose is that that Wellington did not hate me this time, and that I didn't get sick, and that the horses jumped really well. And then we met with a new vet that is doing a new ultrasound type thing. So we got to get a couple of our horses. It's like this 3D imaging ultrasound where it's in color as well. And so that's my rose, is to put that in, like, I guess you're like, want to say your arsenal of like knowledge and stuff, of like being able to have access to that. So it was really cool to see that. And we got the green light then to jump two of our horses that have been, do we really, they've been rehabbing, they've been doing this, and we've been taking it really slow. But with this technology, we could actually scan them and see that basically it's like scar tissue, and that they look fairly, they look healed more than what you can see on a basic scan. And so now we'll do a recheck in, I think, 4 to 6 weeks. I think it's closer to 6 weeks. But that's my rose, is that basically putting that into the barn and being able to have access to that and further the horses, I think is going to be really, really nice, so that we
That
can.
is exciting.
Yeah. So I got to bring two of them back for jumping. So that was exciting. And then, guys, my thorn and my rose has been that actually we have not had snow, so that I have not had to deal with it. We don't have the mud like Port Ellie. So we live enough on a hill that it just runs off. So thankfully, we do not have any of that. But the thorn is, I don't know if I've talked about this on this before, but Hudson is going to first grade next year. And
Wow.
yes.
Oh my gosh. How is
And
he? That's
I
freaky.
know he's 6. It's crazy.
That's nuts.
Abigail's 4, but he's going to school, and we have these like great schools in the area, and there's several of them, and they all have like amazing attributes to them and stuff. And so picking one might be hard, but that might not be the hard part. It is like harder to interview for these schools in the first grade than it, like him going into the first grade. He's in kindergarten. Then it was for me to apply to college. Like he has to go through testings and interviews, and we have to interview. And I am like, this is the craziest thing. So we have spent the last 2 to 3 months interviewing at all these schools and testings and everything else. And, Hudson's such a good sport. He's like, I don't know, I just really like all of them. I'm like, okay, great, because I'm hoping one of them picks. Like, and now we're waiting until March to find out if we got into a school. Because between the charters, like the charters are in the lottery, the private, like it is amazing what you have to like go through to go to school in first grade.
Yeah, I've heard this through friends, of just even like daycares and stuff. Like, and,
So
just like,
I thought people were kidding when they said, if you want to get into a daycare or this like preschool or whatever, you have to like register when they're born. And I thought everybody was being dramatic, to be honest. Apparently, no, that's like a thing.
wow.
Insane.
I mean, obviously my children didn't, because I'm now in first grade now having to deal with this, that we're at age 6, not age 1. But yeah, so that is my thorn, is that I did not know it was so hard to get into elementary school or to apply, and the length of all of it. And then now it's a waiting game. You don't find out till the first ones are in March. It's like applying to college.
Holy cow. Yeah. That's Godspeed, good luck.
And it's even
Like
this is not just private. This is like for the charter public schools that go in lotteries and stuff.
Jeez. Yeah.
So tell me your thorn's not as bad as that one, hopefully.
So no, it's not nearly as bad. So I'll start with my rose is that it's my birthday week. So it's been fun to celebrate my birthday. Alex, the husband, did a great job. We spent
It
the
looked
day.
amazing.
Yeah, we spent the day at the Don Cesar, which is a lovely old historic hotel on St. Pete Beach. Just enjoying. Sorry to say, Ellie, like a really nice, warm and sunny couple of days.
I did not say that was her.
And we had some nice spa services. Like I was in a bathing suit, Ellie. I'm sorry, but
You're
got
just
a nice...
rubbing it in.
I know.
I mean,
Got
I
my
was in a
first
mud
sort of, like,
bath,
sun.
if that counts. My spa.
She went to a spa and had a cold water or cold weather mud treatment.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. And those could be very expensive, you know. So.
Yeah, I
First
should
was
start
she lost
charging.
2 pairs of shoes.
I should just dig a hole and have people start charging. Come, have this magical horse mud poop. Man. Anyway, that sounds fantastic. What else did you guys do?
It was lovely. Yeah, we saw some friends, had dinner with family. It was great. And so my thorn. Mikey seems to be happiest with the work when we're out on the trails. So I've been using them, like the trail systems, as like essentially like almost like when he was in work as an eventer for like trot sets and building fitness. I'm kind of using that model as I tried to make him less feral. And it's working well. So I have trails that are like right off the back of the barn and they're beautiful and there's tons of trails. So I just kind of like hike my stirrups up and almost like breeze them, you know, because he's like can't maintain a pace. He's very unfit, but to trot and canter in a straight line on the trail and then the trails open up to bigger fields. I just kind of like keep my hands the same and get off his back and let him figure it out. Like sometimes when he's fatigued, he wants to lean on my hands, but we're getting stronger and he can balance himself more. So I've been doing a lot of this work and just to get him like going somewhere and doing new things, we're going to trails that we haul to now as well, just to like make him get on the trailer, off the trailer in a new place and got to go do some work. So, this last weekend, I took him to Alafaya River State Park, which is one of my favorite places in all of Florida to ride. It's an old phosphate mine that, you know, that's grown over. So it's like a very, very odd but beautiful place in Florida where it's very hilly from the old mining back in the day. And the fox hunting clubs they used to run some hunter paces out there. And it's beautiful. And especially this time of year where it's cooler and just nice to be out there. So I took Mikey out there all by myself. We were the only horse trailer in the park, which I don't know why, because the weather is beautiful. And we definitely got lost out there. So like our quick like hack around for a while turned into 3 hours as I tried to find my way back to the trailer. But it's my thorn because with these trail hikes that I'm doing with him, I am almost always so sore. Like my butt, my thighs, my legs, just from, you know, like long trail rides. And I'm spending most of the time in a half seat when we're moving at the trot and canter. So if anybody has tips in the Facebook group, or if you guys want to email us, like if you're an endurance rider or a trail rider, or even like a more fit eventer at this point for me, like, cause I used to have no problem running around cross country, obviously, but that's a much shorter time than what I'm doing on the trails. But I guess it's a good workout for me as well as him, but I'm just like, I'm dying from it. Like I've gone back and forth from the dressage saddle to the jump saddle. Obviously the jump saddle is more comfortable, but if anybody has tips, because they do seem to be benefiting him the most. He is happiest like hacking out, where he gets a little bit ornery and very feral, like in the arena right now. So I'm trying to just like help build fitness, help keep him happy, and do as much work on the trails as I can for right now. But if anybody has any tips, my body is dying.
So there used to be a company called Riders Relief. It was like a bath, it almost had the consistency of like Epsom salt.
Okay.
You'd put it in a bath, and it was like a muscle, like helped with muscles. I don't think it exists anymore, but like those muscle relief bath soaks, I used to thoroughly enjoy.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, and they really did help, like if you had like a long ride or something, like if you just like rubbed your like thighs in the bath like with that stuff, like that helped a lot.
All right. I'm down to try anything. So
yeah. I mean, my other ones are prescription drugs for soreness.
Right.
But I can't give you those. But yeah, because I have special ones for like nerve pain and stuff now, which help a lot. But yeah, those were huge. I loved those soaks.
And I love a good bubble bath, so that I like that. But yeah, if anybody has tips, share them in the Facebook group. I'm all ears. But we do have a mailbag I wanted to run by you guys too. So this question came from an email from a reader, and they want to know, what is one part of your tacking up routine you never skip? Jess, you got an answer? Good answer?
I would say the one part that I don't ever skip is either picking out their feet, or I don't know why this sounds weird, but like I love currying them.
I feel like not all of them, but most of them like it too, you know?
Yeah, no, but I like to curry because I feel like it always just like gets that extra. So even if it's like 2 seconds, I like throw a curry over them. But the one thing I don't do while tacking up is I never brush their tails.
Okay.
Unless I'm like in a lesson or at a show. But then I feel like it just pulls the extra hair out. So I'll pick through like all the shavings, but I never, or I'll put conditioner in it. And I love the Cowboy Magic like detangler that's like clear and it's like real soft. I put that in their tails all the time. But I'll pick their tails or something, but I do not brush their tails. And I guess that would be like my biggest pet peeve of like what I never do, just like riding around.
So it depends on the horse for me. Like I used to always brush out my Hanoverian mare's tail, but she had a big, beautiful, bushy tail. The thoroughbreds never. I never touch them.
Even even the big tails, I'll pick through them. Like I'll pick them or shake them out or whatever. But I never take the brush to them every day because I've seen so many of them go from like big bushy tails to nothing. And then you're just like depressed.
Yeah, Mikey's I sprayed the pink stuff from Ellie, the pink
yes, the horse
conditioner spray.
I love that.
Every day.
That stuff is amazing.
And it smells so good.
In his tail.
But I don't put that on their tails. I put that on their bodies if I'm going to do it. On the tails, the Cowboy Magic detangler, it's like, it feels like.
Yeah, I have that too. I feel like it's like Shoshin though. Like I want something to keep it like conditioned. Like sometimes
that
I
keeps
feel like
it conditioned, but you have to use it like you have to like rub it in their tails.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
got it. Well, anyways, Ellie, so what do you never?
Yeah, what do you? Yeah, what are yours?
So like honestly, it's a weird thing for me. Well, I don't think it's that weird. Like even if I'm not putting boots on or anything, I'm always really anal about like giving their legs a good brushing. Like I hate when I see people who have like a little bit of mud on like their like coronary bands. Yeah. I'm like, it really bothers me.
Are always clipped up like really well, and they never go out in the mud. So like, but that drives me nuts. Yeah. You're living in the mud, so that would be a different situation.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's to the point, I mean, because it's, it's freezing mud. So literally my horses will come in with like balls on their, feathers of just like frozen mud. Yeah. And like Berkeley last year lost like half of his tail from, I now cut my tails like really short for the winter. But, but the one thing, I can't not clean a horse's legs. So it always bothers me too. Like if they have been out and their legs are kind of wet, I will towel them and wait for them to dry before I ride. Because I want to
that would
give them a good scrubbing and
that would bother me.
I'm always paranoid about scratches and stuff. So I always brush
like mud,
the legs.
The mud itch and all that. That's so gross.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I'm the same. Like mine is the same as you, Allie, because mine's not the winter like yours. Yours is all like
the
mud in the snow. Mine is the summer with the scratches. So I always make sure that
the sand.
I brush the legs and I dry them too, because I want them to be dry from scratches. And then I
Yeah.
always apply the 40% zinc oxide diaper rash cream, like a Destin or
Yeah.
to their heel bulbs and stuff. And I'll do that before a ride, just especially if their legs have been wet from like sitting in the muddy part of the pasture, just to help dry them out and give them that barrier before every ride. And then I just think it's important, like, especially now that I've dealt with a soft tissue injury, like the first thing I do is run my hand down all of their legs.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Checking for bumps, lumps, heat.
I think that's like, I think that's like, I don't even know I'm doing it. When you put on boots,
You just
you
do
just
it,
like check their legs and then put the boot on. I think it's so like subconscious that you just do it.
Yep, exactly. So there's like a thing I do. Like sometimes he's in the pasture, I haven't even put the halter on yet, and I run my hands down his legs.
Yeah.
I'd be losing. Like mine would run away. I got to get the halter on.
So, yep. But yeah, if you have a question for us and you want us to answer it on the show, you could always send us an email. Our email address is hello@heelsdownmedia.com. Or you can join our Facebook group that we've mentioned a couple of times here. It's the Heels Down Happy Hour Podcast Lounge. And if you want to hear more from us, you should subscribe to the Heels Down Spark, our daily equestrian newsletter. You can do that by going to bit.ly/sparkbyhd. And we want to say thank you to our partners this week, Purina. All right, guys, that's a wrap.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.